What's up? Welcome into T2T After Dark, episode 17. We're here to talk about the divisional round of the playoffs. I'm Nate Wallen. You can find me on Twitter at Nate_Dirt19. I'm joined, as always, by my buddy Abe. You can find him on Twitter at MVINFF. What's cooking, pal?
Not too much, man. Just trying to amp up for this weekend. It's been a few weeks since I've been on here. Kind of had a cough, had some actually had surgery on my neck, had a bunch of stuff going on. But so if I have a cough, you see me muting stuff, that's what it is. I'm trying to shake it, and it's been fine all day long at work, and then all of a sudden we got to do a podcast. It starts acting up a little bit. So bear with me for a little bit with that, but trying to keep my voice steady to stick around until Saturday so I can yell at the TV a little bit. But happy to be here. Divisional weekend's fun. Wildcard weekend's a lot of fun. We had some blow-ups, but it's still a fun time of the year.
Oh yeah, it was. I don't think anybody would have expected those games to, like I said, the amount of games that kind of were blowouts, especially in the wild card. I love that wild card weekend. It was weird having the two games on Monday. I didn't dislike it, I guess, but it was kind of odd. But it's just fun. It kind of in the back of your head, it's so kind of like we're winding down. And football's winding down, and it's kind of a bummer. But I guess we got springtime football to look forward to a little bit if you want to talk about that at some point. So it'll be fun. So
we're getting there, man. It just seems so fast. It seems like it takes forever to get to the season, and then so fast once we get here.
Yeah, those 18 weeks fly by. I mean, it's wild. You can find the show on Twitter, Toads Titles. You can find all our articles, mock drafts, player rankings, episodes, everything we do. It's on our website, toadstitles.com. Check it out if you haven't. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. We would appreciate that. And last but not least, if you would like to interact with the team, join us on our Gilded chat. You can hit me up, Abe, anybody, Coach Seps. You can email the show at toadstitles@gmail.com, and we'll get you in there too. It's free. We're going to be doing some weekly mock drafts coming up. A lot of draft content will be on there as well. So hit us up if you want to get involved in those. So I guess there's been all kinds of news, but the Patriots finally announced Gerard Mayo as the head coach. I don't know what to expect in New England. I mean, it's been almost my entire life that Belichick was the coach there. So it'll be weird. It'll be different. I don't know what direction they're going. I mean, I don't even know if they know what they're doing yet.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just one of those teams that just seems like they're not on an incline to get better. And it's like, all right, where do we go? I think they need help at some major positions. They've never really drafted well from the wide receiver position. They never had to draft well from the quarterback position, which is why you never had to draft well at the wide receiver position, because they've always had really good tight ends and good complementary players for Brady. But at this point in time, I don't know. I mean, it's just one of those teams that just seems like, hey, you always expect them to be good. And now it's like I look at them and I'm like, I don't expect them to be good at all. And so it's weird. It's a big transition. But it's just one of those things that it happens in the NFL. It's time to rebuild. People need to be patient with them. But that's, it's going to be hard being patient with them when people were booing them off the field when they were winning Super Bowls. So, it's one of those things that's just kind of difficult. But we'll see where it goes. I mean, I think they have some picks this year, so it'll be interesting to see where they go.
Yeah, for sure. I think their defense. I mean, they've generally played okay on defense. They had their ups and downs for sure, but I think that the defense will be what can help them along. I think they'll be able to have a decent defense, depending on who's there. But Mayo being a linebackers coach, I think that those defensive coaches seem to have a little bit better, success on that side of the ball. So
yeah. The one thing about it, though, I mean, one thing that I think that kind of gets a little bit overlooked is Belichick was so damn good at like scheming to take the best player out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and when I say best player, it's usually a wide receiver or tight end, not so much a running back, but he was so good at that. And it was one of those things where it's just like, do they, and that's why I think their defense was so good, because when you take away someone's best, usually there's not too many NFL teams that can go and torch you and light you up in other areas. So, I think that was part of it. Now they do have some good defensive personnel. They had some, and they've had a lot of injuries this year on the defensive side. So I'd be excited of that. It's one of those things where can they put it together on defense and draft well offensively and put together a 6 to 8 win team next year? I don't know. That'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I mean I don't know. It's going to be weird, that's for sure. So being a coach is not going anywhere.
Where do you think Belichick goes?
I don't know. I guess Atlanta, maybe. I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, I feel like the Chargers is probably I would think it'd be the most appealing just because you have a quarterback. That's really the only team that has a quarterback. The Titans, I think that place is a dumpster fire. They don't have anything. I mean, I know you're a big Jeans fan, Will Levis. I mean, I'm not discounting him. He's not Justin Herbert. And I don't know what they have around him. Derrick Henry's pretty much gone. I don't know if Hopkins has another year on his deal or not.
I mean, I like I like Tajay Spears a lot. Other than that, they don't have a lot. But yeah, I agree. I think for some reason he goes to Commanders. It's just, I don't know. There's not a lot of reasons behind it. But yeah, for some reason I think he goes to Washington. Be interesting to see.
Yeah, I don't know
if he's done.
What?
I don't think he's done. Like I think he still wants to coach. I mean, it kind of looks like at least. So
yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure what we're still waiting on. Like how come Vrabel, like somebody hasn't hired him yet? That doesn't make sense to me. That's why I think the Titans are they're in trouble. I don't know if they don't realize what they had in Vrabel. I mean, he's been very good, and he has, and he's done it with a heck of a lot less. That's what I mean. Like he's probably at one of the
what he said. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think Vrabel's probably one of the top 5 coaches in the league. What he's had has never been much. They always play hard. They're a tough out. They were the number 1 seed 2 years ago, weren't they?
Yeah. Yep. Yes. Yeah. One thing about him though is he's never had an offensive coordinator stick around. Like, no. I mean, 3 or 4 years, I guess 4 or 5 years ago now, wasn't it LaFleur? And he came to Green Bay, and then you've had other OCs, and they last a year or two and see that this team, puts up fairly decent numbers for crappy personnel, and then these OCs get, better opportunities. So I don't think he's had an OC land more than 2 years in Tennessee. And that's not due to him. It's just due to their success for what they have, in my opinion. Yeah, so that's difficult.
I mean, I think he's awesome. And
yeah, I do too. I like him a lot. I'm shocked he didn't go to the Patriots.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I feel like you'd heard rumblings about Mayo, but it just seemed like it made sense for it to be Vrabel. But
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I think he'll do well wherever he goes. I've heard Harbaugh interviewed from Michigan. Did he interview anywhere else?
Harbaugh, I think interviewed
from Michigan. I meant to say interviewed for the Chargers. I don't know why I said that.
I think he's been in Atlanta and in the Chargers so far.
Okay, but I don't know. I don't know if he's going to go. I think I said that to somebody. One of my friends that was a Bears fan. Of course, they wanted Harbaugh. I was like, and I don't know if he'll go. Like in my opinion, he wants to be the GM. He wants to make all the decisions. Like he does in Michigan.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Unless Spanos is going to let him do that in Los Angeles, I don't know if he'll go there.
Well, that's another thing too, is he wants to bring McCarthy with him. Like, and I mean, I hate to break it to you, Jim. Like, I know you're excited and you're gung ho about this quarterback from Michigan, but he's not NFL ready right now. And I don't know if he's ever NFL ready to be a top tier quarterback in the league. Like, he had a very good college career. He won a national championship with you. But last I heard is that he thinks he has a little bit more pull and a little bit more say with the Raiders if he went to Las Vegas, and he wants to go there and bring McCarthy there. So I know that he is interviewing soon or has with the Raiders as well. So
I think Mark Davis better just hire Antonio Pierce, or it's going to be a nightmare for him.
Yeah, I think that one exception as a quarterback or as a coach would be Harbaugh. I think that a lot of people would want Pierce to stay, but if you brought in a guy like Harbaugh, I think people would be like, okay, this is, he's had a lot of success in the NFL. He's had obviously a lot of success in the college ranks.
Yeah.
I think that's one guy that, as a Raiders fan, I would be okay with. My feelings about Harbaugh. I can't stand the guy. I was, lifelong Michigan football fan. I still followed them the last couple of years, but I just can't stand Harbaugh that much. But you got to give him credit where credit's due. I mean, he's been successful across both levels, and he's done it with he had a great defense when he was at San Francisco, and Kaepernick had that, good, year or two, and, looked like, the best player ever whenever he played the Packers. But McCarthy's not that type of quarterback. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think it's down to those three teams. I know Bears fans are kind of hoping for that as well. I don't think that's an option. And if I do, I think it's a fifth option. I think it's the three NFL teams that we talked about, and then Michigan, and then Chicago Bears. So,
well, I mean, they said they're not.
Right on.
They said Eberflus is the coach next year, so it's not the Bears.
Right. But I mean, once again, I think if Harbaugh came knocking on their door, I think Chicago would be like, okay, we're entertained. Maybe we can, maybe find another spot for Eberflus on the defensive side or something. I don't know, but that name is it's a very hot name in football right now. Very popular name. So I think if he came knocking, but I just don't think that's what he wants to do in Chicago. So
I think he'd be dumber than hell to go to Chicago. No offense to my friends that are Bears fans, but I feel like that place is just kind of fucked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they very well could have 3 of the top 9 picks this year, and everyone's thinking they're going to the Super Bowl because we saw that, the Texans had 2 of the top 3 picks, and look what they're doing. I don't know. It's, we'll see what they do.
You think Fields is gone?
I do. I really do. I think he's done. As a Packers fan, I'm okay with that because I think Fields is a pretty good football player. There's a lot of things that I think that he doesn't do the greatest, and he has had lots of excuses for 3 years, and his record is not good. There's a lot of negatives about it, but he's a lot better than a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, we saw terrible, shitty quarterback play all season long, and when Fields was out there, the Bears were better. They may not have always won. I mean, they win 5 out of the last 7 NFL games or something this year, and he was a part of those 4 of those, I think. I'm not a huge Fields fan, but the guy, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I don't want to go up against him. I'll tell you that.
No.
Because he's got a cannon for an arm, and he can run, and he's got a lot of tools. I think if he has the right coaching staff around him, where he can find a read a defense and read, progress from read 1 to read 2, he's going to get a heck of a lot better.
Yeah, and be able to. It seems like a lot holds on to the ball too long. And then when he runs with the ball, he doesn't always hold on to the ball when he runs with it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because it kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, a lot of people are like, well, they need an offensive line. I'm like, their second half of the season, their offensive line their quarterbacks had the 3rd most time to throw. I mean, that's pretty darn good. Like, that's kind of what you want. But yeah, he holds on to it too long until he has to run with it. He doesn't hold on to it.
Yeah, I know there's a lot to break down. We could talk for hours about what they're going to do, what they should do, what they will do. It'll be fun to see. I don't know. a friend of mine just said he was going to watch all of Caleb Williams' college snaps from now until the draft, and I said, "Well, have fun."
Yeah,
I don't know
you're
if
not
that's
going to be
their
that
guy.
aggressive.
Yeah,
Watch him in 2022 season because he didn't play that great this year. So
yeah. So, anyways, we'll see what they do. There's another coach thing. Oh, Tomlin, it sounds like he's staying, which is good. I think he should. I love Mike Tomlin. I've said that on here dozens of times, if not more than that. That clip of him when they said the contract thing, he just turned his head and walked off. That was one of the best press conferences. I loved it. That was fucking awesome. Like, I wish he did that. Yeah. I love that.
I mean, and it was a simple question. I thought I misunderstood the question, and then I kind of actually looked into it a little bit today during lunch, and I think someone basically asked him, like, "Do you plan on coming back?" Like, and he was just like, "Yeah." I mean, it wasn't anything like, did they want you back or anything like that. It was like, "Yeah, Ryan, I want to come back." Like, I'm never had a losing season here. So
I think it's like, he's like, "What? We just had a tough game. We just lost. Our season's over." Like, that's not what I'm here to talk about. Like, we'll have a press conference next week about that shit. Like, let's talk about the goddamn game.
Yeah.
That's almost as good as the lady asking Todd Bowles or not Todd Bowles. It's Todd Bowles, the Buccaneers head coach, about the weather in Detroit.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. That was awesome. I'd be awfully embarrassed if I was that interviewer. So
yeah.
Well. That's, I guess you just kind of assume, like, hey, Chicago's outside, Green Bay's playing outdoors, Detroit would be too, but nope, they've had it over 50-some years. So
I don't think they've ever not had one.
I don't know. I just know that everything I saw and read was like, I want to keep saying 50+ years. So,
hell yeah. But, well, we can get on. We do have a couple DFS lineups. It's a little different with only 4 games, but nevertheless, I'll go first. Mine's a little different. I was trying to save some money here and there. It was kind of hard because it seemed like there was like 2 chunks of receiver groups. Like high-end guys were all separated by like $200, and then it was like a little break, and then it was all the rest of the guys. So
Yep.
I got Baker at quarterback. I thought he's played very, very well. He's been tougher than nails. I think he's got a busted rib or something, or an ankle, but he looked really good against the Eagles. I know their defense hadn't been that good, but the Lions defense hasn't been that good. So I like Baker. I got Aaron Jones. I think LaFleur will continue to feed him like he did the last 4 weeks. Isaiah Pacheco. If the Chiefs have any chance against the Bills, I think it's with Pacheco. Besides the fact that, actually, when we're done with this, let's talk about that game. Receiver like Rashee Rice, he's like the only guy that catches the ball. Kelsey does a little bit, I guess, still. But Gabe Davis seems like he shows up in the playoffs against the Chiefs. My last receiver is Odell Beckham. I don't know why, but for some reason I feel like he'll do some damage against the Texans. At tight end, I like Kate Otten. Kind of stack him with Baker. He seemed to be an integral part of Baker's offense. My flex is Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I like the Chiefs' defense. I think that's their strong suit. So if they can slow the Bills down a little bit, who knows what Josh Allen we're going to get, if he's going to be turning the ball over. So we'll see. But that's all I got.
I like that a lot. There's a lot in there. I'm like, man, I try getting these guys in my lineup. I really try getting the Chiefs in my lineup, and I couldn't, even though they're only 100 or 200 more than what I paid for the Buccaneers defense, to kind of segue into that. A lot of the stuff I do like, Gabe Davis, this dude is 0 or 50 yards anymore. He went crazy last year against them. It's something to think about. With L'Jarius Sneed is probably going to be all over Diggs. So that's free, that frees up Gabe Davis. So I like that play a lot. For a guy that's coming off an injury, hasn't played in a few weeks, and sometimes just goes up and puts up goose eggs. But I do like that play. He was extremely cheap, so I like that.
Yeah.
Baker's looked really good. Man, he looked. Last week I think there was some leg issues. He's been banged up, like you mentioned. But man, he ran the ball well. Like out of the pocket, He ran the ball well. He just looks so damn good. Like it's one of those things where he was confident where he was throwing the ball. Now the Eagles refused to tackle and do anything that a normal football team should do, but Baker looked really good. So I like that call a lot. My DFS lineup, I'll start with my quarterback. I like Purdy. There's a couple things why I do. I had Love in here at first, but then I didn't have much with Love. So I went back and switched it to Purdy. But Purdy's my quarterback. My running backs are the Gus Bus and Pacheco. Gus, I think, scores at least once. He's still their goal line guy. So Pacheco's been really good for the Chiefs. My wide receivers are Mike Evans and Reynolds. What's that?
Hopefully Mike Evans catches the ball this week. He dropped like a wide.
Yeah, I mean, one thing about Detroit, they're really good against the run.
They're not
good
against
the run. What's that?
Their defense is not very good in the back end.
No, it's not good on the back end, and especially big receivers like Evans is.
Yeah.
They struggle against bigger wide receivers, so that's why I really wanted to plug in Evans instead of Godwin.
Yep.
And I think I want to say that I don't know this exact number. It's something I was looking up last weekend, but I think that they're giving up an average of 325 yards to quarterbacks the last 5 weeks, which is a ton. So that's a good spot for Baker for you as well. So then I also have Reynolds on there. Reynolds played really well last week. He's got a good matchup this week. He's kind of their number 3 or 4 guy. So I think that this game kind of has some points to it. So Reynolds, I had to go on a little cheaper route. My next wide receiver is Debo. I think Debo is going to be a good gadget guy that they know Green Bay will struggle with. I think he scores at least 1 touchdown, whether it's running or receiving. We have no idea. My tight end is Kittle, a guy that's going to, Green Bay is really soft in the middle of the field on defense. So I think that he has a good game against Green Bay. My flex player is Dontavian Wicks. Week after week, this dude seems to find the end zone or goes and gets 5 for 60. So I really like him a lot. And then, like I mentioned earlier, the Buccaneers defense. So, pretty heavy San Francisco, lineup here. San Francisco, a little bit of Green Bay, a little bit of Detroit and Tampa. So we'll see. I put this lineup pretty, together pretty quickly, and I kind of like it. So
yeah, I did too. I think, I definitely after I had Aaron Jones and Pacheco, I thought I got to put Gus in my flex, but then I was like, well, I can afford St. Brown, so we'll keep with him. But I think Gus Edwards is going to tote the rock for him a lot. I think Lamar also. I think they're going to run the ball quite a bit. And then, like I said, Mike Evans is always there, especially the size is just a huge advantage for him. And I like Reynolds and Debo both. I think that'd be good. And like I said, mine, when I first got done with that lineup, I was like, man, I don't know if I like this. I don't know. And then as I kept looking, I'm like, all right, I feel a little more confident. So
yeah, I like it. It.
We'll see how it goes. So I do want to mention our Patreon real quick, patreon.com/titles. If you are interested in that, hit us up. We can give you all the info on it. There's 6 different tiers. For those of you that are Patreon members, we appreciate the heck out of you. Like I said, help us keep the lights on. So check that out. I do want to talk too about right now we're doing there's a Super Bowl square deal we're going to do for the Patreon members. Whatever tier you are, you get a square per tier for free. I don't remember what the payout is. They just sent that out today, but it's a free Super Bowl square. That's just for, being a Patreon member. So, just trying to give back. I know there's some other giveaways we've been doing. So, like I said, we try to help out. So yeah, why not? It's free. Like I said, spend, I think the cheapest one's $1.50 a month. So you get a free, free square, then $3, $5 and so on. So, get you a couple free squares and see if you can win. I know, like I said, I'm a big Super Bowl squares fan. I know Abe is, so why not? But I do want to talk about the playoff league we're doing. I meant to mention earlier, got sidetracked, but our Total Styles playoff league is going. I believe Big Dog, our pal, is on top of the leaderboard. I think he's ahead by 1 point right now.
Yeah.
But it's a good start.
He's off to a good start. That's what you want to do. a couple years ago, I was off to a terrible start and raced back, and I think I got second that year. Last year, I tried doing that same thing, and I got dog washed. So I took a little different approach this year, and it did not work. I saved all my Cowboys last week and didn't play any of them, so now they're all wiped out of it. So I'm already down about 5 players from that. So
yeah, I think I had Dak and CD and Jake Ferguson last week, and Ferguson and Dak obviously scored me a lot of points. CD did not, and it's okay that he didn't because like it worked out for me as my fandom, that he didn't. But I also had Jaden Reed put up a big 0. That was kind of odd.
I didn't see that coming at all, but I mean, he played really well. I mean, as you can say this, but 0 catches. I don't even think he had a target. I mean, didn't even. So I imagine we'll see him. They may think that he's Tebow this weekend and put him behind the line of scrimmage to get the ball in his hands a little bit this weekend. But that's crazy to have 0. He was the one guy. He was my big play I liked on Green Bay for receiving yards this weekend. He didn't even have a target. So
yeah, I mean, Love only threw the ball 21 times or whatever, and besides Dobbs, nobody had like more than 2 catches. So I think that's just kind of how the Green Bay offense works. So, but yeah, check it out. Like I said, that playoff league is a ton of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Too late now, but we'll update as we go on. So
yeah, there's some fun strategy to it. So
yeah, it's tough. That one and done makes things very interesting.
Yeah. Note to self: if you did not get it this year, to jump on board next year. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, it's $30, but it's totally worth it. It's a good time.
Yeah.
So, moving on, we'll just kind of go through every game. First one, Saturday afternoon, Texans heading to Baltimore. I just had it pulled up and I forgot. The Ravens are favored by 9.5 points. I think. I don't remember where that opened at. I think did it open at 10?
It opened at 10.5, and
so
it's come down to it's come down to 9.5 now. So,
personally, I like the Ravens to win. I don't know, 9.5 is a lot of points. I don't know. I would imagine that Stroud won't have as easy of a game as he did last week. I look for the Ravens to kind of slow things down. I think they're obviously a better team than the Browns were. The Browns just didn't look very good anyways. But I think when the Texans and Ravens played earlier this year, it was a pretty close game, actually.
Week 1, I think it was week 1.
Yeah, it was week 1, and Stroud looked pretty good then, and he's only gotten better. But I like this game to go over the 43.5. That seems like a pretty low total, which is I should probably not bet that, being as it is one of the lower totals of the weekend. It is the lowest one. And it's the lowest total of the weekend. By 2 points. So I don't know. I like to go over though. Like I said, I feel like they're trying to bait me there to do that, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, this game is one of those where it's just like, what do I like, or how do I like, or how do I expect this game flow to go, or the script of it? It's one of those things where I'm just like, I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. Like, obviously, the Ravens have been, if not the most dominant team in football all year long, consistently the top 2. I mean, so, but then again, we also have the narrative of Lamar struggles in the playoffs. Is that in his mind? I mean, we saw last weekend that. Dak, struggles in the playoffs also, and he comes out and throws a couple interceptions right off, the first half. So that stuff plays with people. I mean, it really does. People say, well, they're professionals. I don't care. It's still in your mind. Like, it really is. The Texans took a couple back to the house last week. I don't know what to think of this game. I do like that over, and I do like Texans plus 9.5. I just don't know where else to go in this game. It's going to be one of those games where I probably don't play a lot of player props. I do like Gus Edwards to score. But other than that, I don't have too much to do, because I want to see how the flow of the game goes. And if Lamar's coming out and he's cooking, that 9.5 is not going to be enough. I mean, they may win by 3 scores. So, CJ Stroud doesn't seem fazed by any of this stuff. He don't care. But, we'll see what he does when he's not at his home turf. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I realize I'm looking at my thing I had written down here, and I'm not sure. I've had some numbers effed up. But I do like – there's a couple I thought I found that I thought maybe had some value to him. Odell Beckham over 32.5 yards. Hell, he could get that on one catch. Whether or not he does, I don't know. It just seemed like somewhere I kind of like to be. I like Dalton Schultz over 3.5 catches. I know Nico Collins is kind of his guy, but I think that he, maybe able to get a little bit going with Schultz. And I think I like Singletary over 57.5 yards. He does, he's had probably his best year of his career with the Texans. I know the Ravens defense is really good, but I think they're going to feed him, to try to keep. I think Bobby Slovic knows he needs to keep Lamar off the field, and the one way to do that is to run the football. So I can see it. And Stroud's rushing total is 8.5 yards. So
I love that.
That those low totals are hard to stay away from for me.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Because
it's just one of those that you just don't know, and I think what Baltimore does on defense is they mess with the quarterback, right? Like they sit there and try to play mind games with you. They leak some guys up, and then they fall back into coverage. And we'll just see how Stroud, how he works with that. We'll see how their offensive line holds up. It'll be interesting. I don't know. I don't really have a good grasp on this. You want to take Baltimore, they're the number 1 seed against a rookie quarterback. They're playing at home. They've had a couple weeks off, but at the same time, that's not always great. I mean, it's not always – the Texans have been playing playoff football for 4 weeks now. So sometimes that's better. Sometimes it's better to have a rookie that just doesn't care, doesn't know, and just out there slinging it. So,
yeah.
We'll see.
I don't remember what year that was. I know I talked about before when the Packers were the number 1 seed, had the bye week, and then we got shellacked by the Giants. Was that like 14?
12.
2012?
Yeah, right after we won the Super Bowl.
That's right.
Or it might have been 14 when we went 15-1. It might have been that year.
Yeah, but that bye week, and I feel like it's happened to the Packers since then too. That bye week sometimes makes it's nice to get the guys healthy, but those other teams are coming in just a lot of momentum.
I saw a thing on X the other day, and it was I think it was off of a Packers beat writer thing, and it just said, would you rather have the bye week and rest guys, or would you rather be playing at a high level and not rest? And it was like 52-48. It was, and I don't even remember which way it sided with, but it's hard. I mean, it's a difficult thing that some coaches say, you know what, we're going to rest people. Some coaches say, no, we're not. And you see, like, you get an A.J. Brown injury. I mean,
it's a Dave Campbell, Sam Laporta injury. Luckily, he played, but
yeah.
So moving on, Saturday night game, Packers traveling to California, play the Niners. Packers are 9.5-point dogs, coming off the big win in Dallas. This one's hard for Abe and I, being both Packers fans. I mean, I like him plus 9.5. I don't know if I do. I think I like the total more than anything, but I don't know what to pick. To be honest, I like a couple props more than anything for the game. I just have a hard time. I don't bet on the Packers like points very often, but whether they're the favorite or the dog or anything, I just tend to stay away from it. I know people say you can hedge your bet like that, but I feel it's best for my head to just not bet it.
Yeah. So I mean, you know me that I'm the hedger in the group. I go and bet against the Packers a lot. So if the Packers don't, if they don't win, then I cover and I make money. If they do win, my team wins. I know I lose a little bit of money, but it's fun that my team won.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it. I really don't know what they'll do. Obviously we've sat there and witnessed, San Francisco coming to Green Bay or us going out to San Francisco, and we just don't fare well against them. It's just a team we do not play well against. Like, completely opposite of last week. We play really good against Dallas, and Chicago. So our last 2 weeks have been like that. That's what kind of scares me, is that there's certain teams that we just have, we just play better against, or don't play well against. And so I know this is a bunch of kids. It's a different era. But in my mind, it still sticks there. It's one of those things. So it's hard for me to try to grasp on which way this is going to go. Once again, we could see, this same situation last year where San Francisco comes out and they play Dallas at home. I think Purdy threw for 200 and a touchdown. They didn't do much offensively. I think they only scored like 19 points or something. So, once again, it's a difficult situation. These guys now rested, 2 weeks straight. They rested week 18. They rested their bye week. So it's been, 3 or 4 weeks since some of these guys have played. And sometimes that's difficult. I know some people say they're professionals. You can't turn on a switch like that. It's difficult to do. So you get a bunch of rookies out there, second-year guys that just don't give a shit, that are gelling, that are playing absolutely great football.
Having fun.
And having a lot of fun. We'll see if this is too big of a scene for them. I think they're playing with house money, so if they do get blown out, or if they get beat by one or something like that, at this point in time, there's nothing to hang your head about. I think there's a lot of promise, and we've answered a lot of questions. So with that being said, I think that San Francisco is too good, too quick. They typically just rush their 4 and get home. And we'll see. Our line last week held up really, really good. San Francisco they don't blitz a lot, so we'll see how we hold up against that. Yeah. And if Love has time like he had last week, who knows? San Francisco's they've got, when they've played that type of situation where a line held up, San Francisco has got beat really bad in the secondary. So we'll see. We'll see if our line holds up. Love can sling around. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. So I like Aaron Jones over 67.5 yards. Like we said earlier, I think they're going to continue to give him the football. I know the San Francisco's defense is great, but if he's going to get 30 carries, 67 yards shouldn't be an issue. So
right. Yeah. Hopefully not.
Again, Love over 8.5 rushing yards. Same thing. He doesn't look to run the ball, but there'll be times when they're going to get after him and he's going to have to. So we'll see. And I like CMC over 32.5 receiving yards. That seems pretty low for him. I just think that as much as they move him around, 32.5 isn't much. So.
Yeah, my big player prop in this is I like Kittle. Kittle last year in this game, I think he went for 95 yards against Dallas. Just like I've mentioned, quite a bit, we're just soft in the middle, and that's where Kittle obviously thrives. So I like Kittle a lot. I even like his longest reception. So I don't know what that is yet, but I'm guessing it's around 18.
It is. Where'd it go? It's not up yet. But yeah, I said it's going to be fun. So it'll be different than previous. So Sunday afternoon, Tampa Bay traveling to Detroit. Tampa Bay 6.5-point dog on the road. I like the Bucks plus 6.5. They're kind of like the Packers are. They're like with the house money. People didn't really expect them to beat the Eagles. I'm sorry that I'm rooting against the Lions, everybody's Cinderella team, because they love Dan Campbell. I think he does dumb things. He does a lot of good things, but he does some really dumb stuff and gets bailed out. Sorry I'm rooting against them, but I like the Bucks plus 6.5. I think they're playing good football. And Rashad White looks really good running the ball, which is, that's, the Lions' strength is their rush defense. But, if the Buccaneers defense can hold up at all and slow them down a little bit, because that, like I said, Lions' offense is phenomenal, and it has been. Yeah. But if Vita Vea can get a little pressure and smack Goff around a bit, I think that kind of helps them.
Yeah, and once again, these guys met earlier in the year. I don't think either one of Detroit's top 2 running backs played.
They did.
Actually, I
Craig
think
Reynolds was the RB1 that week.
Yeah. And when I said Reynolds earlier, I meant Josh, not Craig Reynolds.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I remember.
for the record, but anyways, so I like Buccaneers plus 6.5. Also, I say this every week when we're on here. I try to think of what the spread would be like before I see it. I thought the spread would be 3. And when I saw 6.5, I'm like, oh, I really like this. You kind of wait. I think Detroit got some calls last week. I don't think that the Rams really seemed like they cared if they won as much as what I thought they would. I don't know. It just seemed like one of those games that was like, hey, we're just kind of going through the motion. So we'll see. I think Tampa Bay has a little motivation. I think Tampa Bay's defense is better than what people think now that they're all healthy. Their back end isn't that great, but it's still very good. And they're gonna throw some stunts at Goff. I know the narrative is that Goff struggles against blitz. We'll see. I think Goff is better against the blitz than a lot of people talk about, but we'll kind of see that cat and mouse game that Tampa Bay does to mess with Goff a little bit. I think this game's gonna be closer than 6.5. I think that's a nice number if you want to go about the underdog. The one player prop I like in it. I know Rachaad White didn't play that great last week. I want to bet his over in catches. I don't care what they are. I will bet them. If he doesn't get any in the first quarter or second quarter, I will go bet them again, and I'll go bet them again, and I'll go bet them again. Like this guy, especially if the Buccaneers are losing. Last week we saw Baker dropping it down to Cade Otton left and right. Detroit is pretty good against the tight end. But I think that this week his out is going to be, Cade Otton and I think it's going to be Rachaad White. So, and then, throwing down the sideline to Evans. So I love Rachaad White's receptions. I'm assuming they're 3.5. That's what they've been every single week for like the last 9 weeks. And he has not hit it, I think, twice. So
yeah, I like
that play a lot.
Rachaad White over 53.5 rushing yards. I think he'll be, they're going to lean on him in the passing game and the running game. Cade Otton over 28.5 yards. Like you said, Baker seems like he's dialed in with him.
What he had like, I want to say like 13 targets last week or something.
It was crazy. It seemed like every couple passes, it was like Cade Otton. And it wasn't Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. It was like, that's why I was like, oh. So, and I like Jamar Gibbs over 3.5 catches.
I do too.
I think you could bet Montgomery, whatever his, but they're both going to, I think they'll touch the ball more than, those guys are going to get a ton of work. So, yeah.
I think with Gibbs and with Rachaad White, whatever team is winning, go bet the opposite running back with the receptions.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you're going to get some dump downs from both quarterbacks, especially when they're losing. Instead of trying to run the ball, they're going to dump down and try to get them in open space. So, I think that's a good live bet outlook on that.
Oh, yeah. So, moving on to the nightcap, Buffalo Bills hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. Bills are favored by 2.5. The total is 45.5. Right now I like the Bills minus 2.5. I just think they're playing pretty good football. And I think I like the under. Maybe I don't. I don't know. I think I do. The one thing I was going to say earlier. Did you see who's the referees for the game? Sean Hocules is, and that's not good for the Bills. So
why? Do they struggle any reps or something?
The Chiefs are 8-2 during Mahomes' tenure when Hocules is the ref, and they're 2-0 in the playoffs when he's the ref. When it's his crew. The Bills, on the other hand, have had 40 penalties for 347 yards against them in 4 games against Hocules' crew.
Yeah.
So
that stuff matters. That's a good point.
So maybe I shouldn't pick the Bills minus 2.5. I don't know. I don't think the Chiefs are good.
Yeah, I don't think they are either, Nate. But it's hard to count out Mahomes in the postseason. It really is. It's a hair that I can't grow. I know the Bills have been playing good. And everyone is Josh Allen this, Josh Allen that. He's played well. Like, don't get me wrong, he's played well. But let's not forget, this dude is he's not anymore, I don't think, but led the league in turnovers. Like, at some point in time, he's going to do it again. You don't just all of a sudden not do that. Like, it's a good thing that they have gone away from, him running the ball all the time, him passing the ball all the time. They got James Cook much more involved since they've been on this hot streak. And I think that's why they're much rounded, well-rounded, a better football team, because James Cook is touching the ball a heck of a lot more than what he ever has. But at the same time, Josh Allen, at some point in time, he does it all the time. He gets in a game where he thinks he has to do everything and does something stupid and turns it over. And guess what? Patrick Mahomes does the opposite. Patrick Mahomes does things to win games. And I think it's one of those games where the Chiefs have not played well. The Bills have played excellent. And to see this line under a field goal, you're just like, wait a second. Why is that? Like, these two teams are going in opposite directions the last 6 weeks. The Chiefs have not played well, and the Bills, according to every station you turn on, is, hey, this team is, they're a hard out. And if they get in the playoffs, and if they get this, next thing you know, they're a number 2 seed, and they're playing at home. And it's one of those things where it's playoff football, man. It's Patrick Mahomes, it's Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice is playing good. The Chiefs' defense is really, really, really good. And my biggest key to this game is, if Josh Allen turns that ball over twice, they're losing this game. Yeah. If he takes good care of it, they win. They move on to the AFC Championship. But if he turns the ball over, even at least once, a critical turnover, he gets a fumble and an interception, they're probably not winning this game. I see that happen. He gets in these moments and he struggles. And I know he has it lately, but he also has. He's got this is a tough out for him. I think this is going to be a tough play. I think Snead is going to be all over Diggs. That I like these tight ends, especially Kincaid this week. But I just think it's going to be tough for him, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how this game shapes up.
Yeah, definitely. I said, I think, and I said it before too. Like, when Josh Allen plays point guard, they do well. When he just distributes the ball and doesn't try to do it, but when he's the shooting guard and wants to I want to score all the points, I want to do this, put the team on my back, that's when they struggle.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We'll see what they do. Like you said, it seems like Jimmy Cook's been involved and it has helped that team so much. Hey, and playoff Lenny, we can't forget Leonard Fournette is a Bill.
They cut him.
What?
Yeah, they released him this morning. Yeah, he's done. So their main guy that is their change of pace guy was
Johnson.
Well, last week he got a lot of the touches, but yeah, it was Cook, and then it was who's the guy I can't stand?
Latavius Murray.
It's slow and what? Yeah, Latavius Murray. Yeah, it was Latavius Murray was kind of the goal line back and the big back, and then Ty Johnson was the one that kind of came in and replaced both of those guys. So yeah, they cut. I was shocked by that.
I missed that.
But he was moved to the practice squad, and then I thought I saw this morning he was removed from the practice squad and not activated. So that would mean cut, right? Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to look.
I'm shocked that they went and got him 12 weeks ago and he played against the Dolphins, and that's pretty much about it.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. Oh, there was I guess I didn't even say what I like Kelce over 5.5 catches. I think that will help. And then I had James Cook, and I took it off there. I think it was over 18.5 receiving yards.
Yep.
I'd probably take Cook on his rushing total as well. I think McDermott knows that he needs to be the same thing. He's a good coach. He knows what he needs to do as far, keeping the ball in their hands. So,
yeah, I like Kelce and Rashee Rice a lot. I think that was a nice little success for them last week. Mahomes played one of his better statistical games last week, even though it wasn't that great. I think it was 7th out of the, was it 12 quarterbacks last week? But I think that worked well for them last week, and I think that those are options that they'll have again this week against Buffalo, is those two guys should be open in the middle of the field. So those are the two guys I like as well.
Oh, yeah. So, well, that's all I got. You got anything else?
Nope.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We will be back next week before the championship weekend. Like I said earlier, I can't believe it's already here. So thanks for riding along with us, and we'll see y'all next week. Check out the show on Twitter at Toads Titles. Check out the website, toadstyles.com, and hit the like and subscribe on YouTube. We'd appreciate that, and we'll see y'all next week. Have a good night. Good luck and good gambling this weekend.
Go Pack.
Go Pack.